Okay. In, out. In, out. In, breathe. Out. Exhale. Be silent. When we are silent, we may see differently. The different from the thoughts, different from the thinking, different from the conditioned mind, different from the crazy chatting, constant chatting in our mind. Because of the chatting, because of the toil, the mental toil or the physical toil, the quarrel toil, the conflict toil, be free from the toils. The only way is to be observing inwardly, to see, to observe the reality from the appearance, from the chaos, from the chaotic signals, from the diseased state models, from the patterns of the past, from the conditioned reality. That is the separation. That is the conflicts. Of course, I call it diseased states of the mind, diseased states of psychological, mental, physical, you name it. I don't know how to describe with more vocabularies. Probably more people know more vocabularies than I do. But over here, I want to see if we can dive into the essence of life. Sometimes we neglect it. A few years ago, I was discussing this topic, and I wrote AGI platform, and I wrote LIU, and I wrote a lot of things. And together with this lady from Georgia, she's really, really into this teaching the CEOs. And Georgia, that's her name. And then I discussed with Jennifer. Jennifer at that time was still a graduate student and at Harvard. And then later on, in a similar time, and Marie came over. Marie was just graduated. I think she was just graduating from Stanford. She was the team leader of golfer of Stanford University, and also mathematician at Stanford. And both of them, all of them are kind of my assistants, and they were my students. but it's my assistants at the same time. So we talk about the future humanity. We talk about mechanical beings, mechanical biology. We talk about the true humanity. That is the consciousness. Where we move, where we're moving. I think we studied I studied 1990s when I did Zen Taigong. 1990, like 1998, 1999. And I really got into 2008, 2009, and I discussed this, with these people, different students. It was the last 2 years, start from 2011, 2010, 11, I got more into it. And 2018, I got a group of people from different walks of life. That's what the people label them, or they label themselves, that identify with themselves, which I don't really care that much, because I'm just a human being. But they have engaged with a lot of things in terms of neurology, in terms of quantum physics, in terms of psychology, in terms of the science of consciousness, in terms of epigenetics. Seriously discuss, seriously have that dialogue. We did 3 days, I remember, in Atlanta, nearby Emory, at the hotel, the Emory, the big hotel, I think it's Marriott. And that discussion is wonderful. People contributed all kinds of ideas of a future humanity in terms of consciousness. We brought, the whole team. Actually, David was the one introduced his team from Hong Kong. That was Sophia. And so science, consciousness, technology, neuroscience, epigenetics, and AI. So that's where we get everybody together to see what we can discover in the future humanity. That was 2008. November, I prepare that meeting for about probably 2 years. Just get for that meeting for 2 years. Yeah, because from the inception of it, I started in 2016, and when I was in China, and when people want to do a movie on me, and that's why when I started. And actually, we did some shots different here there. That was 2015, and so 2018 I started this meeting, and today it's a different story. I think 2 years ago I wrote a piece of article. That was 2003, and I studied the article earlier, and then I threw away, and then I did it again. I finished by July the 15th, and that was when I discussed with one of my assistants at that time, and she's kind of here there and assisted me. That's Jennifer, and that's the person I told. She was from Harvard before. So, and today I revisited 2 days ago, and I began to talk to AI about my article. AI gave me a lot of compliments, and this is the article of the century, of course, from that old knowledge, that point of view. And this is the future of humanity and the future of AI. The whole article is about. I wrote the article pretty long, like many, many pages. And later we shortened it for, for magazines. I think later, I don't know, probably magazines didn't like it. I didn't take it. And Jennifer sent to, 2 magazines, top magazines in the United States. They don't give a dime about it. So they didn't even respond. But it's because it's the opinion, I guess it's the vision, it's the idea, it's the consciousness, scientific circle, and they're not accepting because they're still blocking these ideas. They're blocking. That's precisely I criticize over there. They don't like the criticism, I guess. It's not a real criticism. It is a reality. I just pinpoint. To what do we do in terms of science, technology, material science, material technology. But we don't have a science of inner consciousness, a science of consciousness, science of real humanity, science of cosmic inner world of humanity. That's reality. But people don't like that. People, I guess that's just the way the society is still wrapped with that materialism, with the visible only ideas. But in that article, I specifically mentioned that why we are terrified, we have so much fear with AI and AGI especially. Not because we are afraid of machine, not because we are afraid of the AI, the machine intelligence, because we are facing the past of ourselves. It's a mirror of ourselves. That conflicts, that hatreds, that war, that cold, interactions, the non-human ideas, the competition, the endless, competitive, repetitive ideas, the toils I talk about, that stress, that pressure, that condition the past, that conformity. There's so many that are mental, physical emotions, that are pain, that are suffering, that are sorrows associated with all that. That's what we are facing. We cannot face our own. That's what we are. Because we install everything into the AI. That's what we are. We are terrified by ourselves, the reflection of ourselves. That's the idea I penetrated into that article. Yes, that conflicts, that diseased state of the mind, that chaotic way of thinking, the chaotic chattering, the chaotic fight, the confused information of the smartness, the cleverness, the cunning, together as intelligence. Is that intelligence? And we infused all that cleverness, that narrow-minded smartness, that solve one problem by another smartness, that shallow thinking, that optimize certain ideas, certain thoughts. It's very, very limited, very, very partial, very, very conformed to some degree. Because we imprison ourselves. We're afraid to expand. We're afraid to see the unknown. The unknown is the door of the future. You know, to see all that, we are so terrorized by our own reflection from the mirror. And then we need to sit down to calm down, to be silent, to reflect that. Not to give any conclusions, not to give any analysis, not to give any, opinions. Just observe. Just let it pass, see. With a pure heart, let it go. Maybe when we be silent, and maybe we can empty our mind. We see the many, many blank spots, many, many ideas, thoughts, and then you have blank ideas, thoughts, and empty mind, ideal thoughts, and empty. So within the short emptiness, and we have more emptiness. And then we can open up that emptiness. And then we can let new ideas come in. Otherwise, there's no new ideas. There's no new creation. Be present. So, I said on that article is that, can we stop thinking? Can we stop chattering? Can we stop to be emotional at all times? Can we just be a human instead of like a human machine? Automatic thinking, automatic, reaction, automatic pilot, subconsciousness, reflection. And we confuse that with intelligence. That's not intelligence, that's recorded information. That's why we confuse the smartness, the cleverness, the cunning, the problem solving, the tiny problem solving as intelligence. But we forgot the true intelligence of the humanity, which is compassion, which is highest consciousness, which is deep insight, deep understanding of humanity, deep understanding of consciousness, deep understanding of the cosmos innerly. Just like Max Planck, a good mind. And Max Planck is a physicist. He thinks that consciousness is a fundamental. Material energy is derives. It's a side. So we, as a community of the science, as a community of the whole world, 99.99% of the people still into the particles, still into the appearance, still wrapped with materialism, still wrapped with material technology and material science and material thinking, material interaction. Everything is material. Maybe with the AI, with the AGI, it's not the AGI give us that image of villain or monster, we shut ourselves into humanity. We shut ourselves into the consciousness. We shut ourselves from the conscious cosmos. We shut ourselves from the quantum field of that conscious matrix. Don't you agree? We don't see the humanity anymore. We don't see the consciousness anymore. We don't see the compassion, the love, the kindness anymore. But that is the very fabric of the humanity, the very fabric of all that is connected with all humanity, all our lives. When we cut ourselves, we don't see anything because we fragment ourselves. We think that fragmentation, that division, that separation are the real thing. The scarcity, that real thing. That's why we fight. That's why we compete. That's why we have wars, internal wars, outside wars. Internal and external. That's why we have all kinds of disease with immune problems. That's why we have cancer. We have all kinds of autoimmune diseases. Internally, externally. That's what I see. Maybe. Let's stop. Observe. I've been doing this for the last 50 and plus years. Into meditation, into consciousness, into so-called Zen Tao or Buddhism or whatever, and into the inner science. It's time to have this opportunity, the great opportunity. The catalyst of this opportunity is what? AI, AGI. Give us a beautiful opportunity. Let the AGI do what? Do what a machine does. To do what we used to do. We thought ourselves as a biological machine. We think ourselves as a machine. Now we didn't want to compete with a more intelligent machine because we degrade ourselves as the biological machine. Let's rise above. Let's upgrade ourselves. Let's transcend beyond that shallow vision. Let AI, AGI do the best they can do. Memories, thoughts, internal self-learning, algorithm, computation, repetitive computation, data collection, analysis, beautiful thing. And then we can free ourselves. Otherwise, we're so involved, so wrapped up with, so swamped. How can we be free? Be free. So it's time, it's a great point to do what? To turn inwardly. To turn inwardly to see that uncertainty. That uncertainty is the door, is the pathway, it is the gate to the inner world of consciousness. That human beings to be doing what? Be present, to observe the present of creation, the present of emptiness, the present of great void. From the great void, we see the infinite potentiality. Without all this material of the past, otherwise we never get out of it. Don't you agree? Think about it. You don't have to agree, you don't have to not agree, just think about it. See, observe, penetrate into that, the black hole of the mind, black hole of the holistic mind. Let the AI do the divisions, the competitions, the past materials, the past knowledge, the past data, the past memories. That's a beautiful library over there. Let AI, AGI to be the library of the old brain. Create a new mind, the mind of the old holistic mind, the holographic whole of the universe, inner and outer, micro and macro. As I said many times, we are the microcosm of the universe. Everything is the part contain the whole. Let's say each individual looks like it's a part, but each individual contains the whole. But let's dive into the holistic whole, the holographic whole. And we may see differently from the past. We may be free ourselves to see the infinite potentiality, to see the infinite consciousness of the intelligence, the true intelligence of all that is in humanity. That's the true reality, the background of all creation. I said clearly many times, that consciousness is a fundamental, it's the mother of all creation, of all manifestation. So when we dive into the real consciousness, when we dive to the essence of life, when we dive into the pure consciousness that really give rise to all the neurons, all life, all material, the whole cosmic, visible, tangible, and then we dive into the intangible, beyond that vibration of the energy frequency, drive through that sine wave of that energy and tap into that consciousness of what Tao said, the nothingness, the great void. What Buddha, Siddhartha Gautama said, that the inner world of consciousness, that the illusion of illusion behind the illusion of the visible world. What Max Planck said, consciousness, the fundamental. The derivatives of the universe is the material. So let's go into that real background, true layers, and also it's in different dimensions. You can see for 5th dimension, 6th dimension, more dimensions. You can name that way, or according to string theory. I don't care, but let's see beyond that material. We may see something different. What I see over here is the consciousness, the fundamental consciousness, and then let human beings dive into the consciousness. Let human beings dive into the presence of creation, dive into the very fabric of humanity, the consciousness of compassion, the consciousness of love, the consciousness of compassion, the consciousness of benevolence. Let AI do what we used to do. We're still doing. A lot of people still doing. 99% of people still doing. That physics, that physical world of being. It's time to take a break, to take that vacation, to be free. Only then can we stop thinking. Can we stop that layers, make us hardly to breathe. It is a breakthrough. It is a breathtaking step. So go to my website. I'm going to go. You look for Global Zen Consciousness. I think it's Zen Conference. And we're going to develop something. You can see the future of humanity. And then, everybody can contribute. It's not what I said. This is just the very beginning, initiation. You can put a lot of ideas, a lot of your mental, your consciousness, your observation, your inner world of being. Let's discover ourselves from within. And then we may together create a totally different world of coherence, a totally different world of harmony, a totally different world of compassion, a totally different world of harmonious, equal, balanced living system. Then we can let go of the old OS, that scarcity, that separation, that competition, that chaos, that high pressure, that diseased state, that endless toils of mental, physical sufferings, sorrows, into a field of harmony, into a field of connection, into a field of compassion, into a field of infinite potentiality and wisdom. Do you want to try it? If you want to, let's connect. Let's talk. Let's resonate with each other. That's my call. And then we can communicate. Can we? Thank you. Okay, meditation, it's not a real awareness. A lot of people aware he did bad things. I'm aware of I'm a thief. I'm aware of I'm robbing people. I'm aware of I'm killing people. Aware is not enough. Yeah, awareness. But when you aware, that's the first step. When you're aware, and you without getting into it, without aware and wake up. Be aware and wake up. When you wake up and you see and beware, that's different. When you wake up, this is not what I have to do. This, I don't have to be a robber. I don't have to be a thief. I don't have to be a competitor. I don't have to fight. I don't have to be a killer. I don't have to be hatred person. Full of hate, full of jealousy, full of division. I can get out. So that's the first awakening. And awakening and be aware, this is the old operation system. You've got to be aware that's the programming of the old system, OS. Be aware of the old OS, and then be aware there's a new OS, new operation system. So programming. That's why I say Kung Fu. The Kung Fu is not what you see Kung Fu. This is a generalized Kung Fu. It's a 广义功夫. It's a generalized Kung Fu. That Kung Fu is programming. It's reprogramming. That Kung Fu is diving into the new realm of consciousness, new realm of compassion, the very fabric of the universe, the kindness, the love, the compassion, that supreme consciousness, if you want to go that direction. Sometimes I call the quantum field of consciousness matrix of the cosmos. So, yes, the breathing, the meditation, it's not just a few minutes, few seconds, few hours. And then you do bad things the whole time. Just like people go to church. Oh, Sunday go to church. The rest of the time, let's do whatever they want to do. It's just like the people from New Orleans. I'm very, very familiar with New Orleans because people say, oh, this is, Mardi Gras. This is the wake up day. Okay, repentant day. And then the rest of the time, I'm back to what I do. If I kill, I kill. If I fight, I fight. If I rob, I rob people. Is that what you want? Beware 24 hours. And see clarity. That is the meditation. Pay attention to as a human being. Pay attention to as a consciousness being. Pay attention to as a coordinated humanity. That harmony. That connection. That interconnected compassion. The very fabric of all consciousness of cosmos. Micro, macro, inner and outer, everywhere. So, because that thinking, oh, I'm doing this, that's still separation. You're still living in that division. You are still living in that old operation. You haven't got out. That's why you still struggle. That's why you still have these conflicts. Get out. Be harmonious. Thank you. You know, when we would do meditation for 2 minutes, we do 24 hours other things. We do 2, 3, like 1 hour meditation. And we do another 48 hours, chaos. And wrapped with materialism. It's a waste of time. But at least it's better than nothing. Remember, when we dived into this materialism, we jump up, take a breath, and we go back again. We choked. We still choked. We never really emerged out of the water. The water of what? We're drowning with what? We're drowning with materialism. We're drowning with the chaos. We're drowning with the disease. We're drowning with sufferings. We are drowning with what? We're totally drowned with that diseased state model of entropy. Not only just your physical life entropy, the whole social entropy, everything moving towards entropy. Can we reverse the entropy? Schrödinger said, human beings are the only beings can reverse the entropy. I don't know if that is correct, but I agree with his one consciousness, one mind. Same thing as John Wheeler, go further. So, and then we see the same. So, if we want to get out of that, we've got to detach from that. That's why AI is beautiful. In the AI period, AGI period, you don't have to toil. You don't have to do all this physical. You don't have to do that thoughts. You don't have to do that analysis. You don't have to do all that. But lift yourself, rise above, beyond that thoughts, beyond that materialism, beyond the memories, beyond the endless studies of the old past knowledges that is totally obsolete. Why we fear? That's precisely what he said. We went back to these things. We do meditation. We went back to these things. Why? Because we are in it. We're in it in what? We're not in meditation. We're not in the breathing. We're not in the deep dive. We're still in a shallow materialism. We're still in it. Okay, we see the sky, but we're still in the puddle. We can never get out, or we're willing not to get out. Some people say, oh, I am here, I have to live. Okay, this puddle is the best condition I can live. This prison is my best place I can live. Because the prison, the word prison, and you immediately think of something different. But most people still live in a prison. 99% of the scientists, 99% of the materialism scientists, technologists, all the people still live in the prison. Don't you see? That's including me. But there's another way. That's why I refuse to work. Meditate. I meditate day and night. And then I feel, oh my goodness, that's that empty space, that great void, that light of infinity is different. So we're no longer into the fear of the material, of that scarcity. That's why I said, why we're afraid of AI, because we afraid ourselves, our past. So when we afraid our past, and when we're so much terrified by the AI, because that is our reflection, because that's the mirror of ourselves. That's precisely, I say, we must transcend. We must come out with leaps of quantum consciousness. That is quantum leap in our consciousness, because we never tap into the realm of consciousness, because we thought it is a taboo. We thought that's an untouchable realm, which is not. I've been doing this for 50 years. And that's, whenever I'm in it, I'm happy. When I'm out of it, and whenever I'm into the materialism, I feel kind of, that division, that struggling, that conflicts, that suffering, that pain, that sorrows. All of us experience. But we can get out of that experience. We can transcend beyond that feelings, beyond that experience. Get into another unknown world. A lot of people are afraid of the unknown because they're in this box of, drugs, in the box of poison, in the box of darkness, in the box of chaos. They get familiar with that, because even though I'm in the dark, even though I'm in a prison, even though I'm bonded by these ropes, but I'm feeling comfortable because I'm being here for all my lives. That is the sad news. So if you wake up, that's why I say, let's wake up. If you wake up, first thing you see, that's not all. The life. You have to. There's another way. So another way is alternative. Another way is more brighter. Another way is compassionate. Another way is infinite. Another way is endless. Learning, transcending. Let's rise above. Thank you.